looking, kicking when I really get to clicking, but I'm looking for a sister to revive and win the kissing. If you want some love, just let me know.
Hi friends, welcome back. My name is Addie Gunnan of Well Loved Clothing, and we are in my shed again. My sewing machine is very obviously placed in the frame, so we are doing a thrift flip today. This is a series that I love to do on my channel. It's probably my favorite thing that I do, where I take old thrifted pieces that I've either had in my closet for a while or some new to me stuff that I found at the thrift store that I thought just needed some new life. I take those pieces and I cut them up, sew them up, make them something new. I love doing this because it gives pieces that I already love some new life and some new wearability, because a lot of times I just kind of get tired of some pieces in my closet, but I know that I can transform it into something that I'll wear a ton. So maintaining our sustainability with that and just making some really cute new pieces. So I'm going to walk you through every step of the process. You'll see the befores, the betweens, and the afters. And there's no particular theme for this thrift flip specifically. I just kind of grabbed some pieces from my closet that I haven't worn in a while, and I wanted to update them into something that I'll wear all the time. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to jump right in with the first piece. So let's do it. Okay, so the first piece that we're going after today is a relatively easy one. It is this gorgeous seafoamy green jumpsuit. I love the color. The details with those pockets on the legs and the chest are so cute. And this is actually marked as a small, but for some reason the waist is just really long. I have a feeling that it was supposed to have a belt and be higher waisted with a really blousy top because of just how low this waist is. Because the hips and the legs are definitely a fitted small, so I think it was supposed to have an oversized top, but without that tie it just looks so wrong. And so my thoughts for this one is to come into sort of this look. I feel like it's pretty obvious where this is going just because it has the main shell of what it's going to be. Just this super cute oversized kind of short sleeve, a little more summery jumpsuit than fall. Airplanes. The beauty of having an outdoor shed is your studio space. So for this jumpsuit, I wanted to take it up at the shoulders, just give it a better shape overall. It's still very oversized, especially since the hips and the legs I'm probably not going to touch much. Maybe crop it just a little bit. So this one will be a little simpler of a thrift flip, but I just want to show y'all that thrift flips don't have to be absolutely insane for you to wear the pieces a lot more often. So we're going to change this one up so I can wear it year round all the time and make it a staple piece of my closet. So let's do it. So it took me forever to figure out whether I was going to take it up at the shoulders or the waist, but I decided on the shoulders, and so I'm buttoning it all the way up to make sure it lays as flat as possible. And then first things first, I'm going to cut off the sleeves. I'll reattach those later, but just to make it really easy to take the shoulders in, I'll need those sleeves off. I'm also removing the collar, which is the most terrifying thing ever because I've never put a collar on anything, so I'm going to have to put this back on at some point. But we're removing the collar by seam ripping so that we're not cutting any of the edges that we need to sew back on later. So once the collar and the sleeves are removed, I'm laying this piece flat, and then I'm going to take a piece of paper and cut it down to the size of this neck hole because I want to make sure I get the neck hole correct since I'm going to have to replace the collar. So I'm just marking the back neck edges and the front collar edges where they're cut, where the collar is going to be reattached, to make sure that I get the right size when I'm finally done taking in the shoulders. Once that's done, we're ready to take it in, and so the first step is to flip it inside out and lay it as flat as possible. And then I measured 3 inches from the top of my shoulder where I wanted to take it in, so 6 inches total is how far we're going to take it up. And so I'm going to mark 3 inches and use a pin all the way across so I get a good straight line across this shoulder. Once I have that, I'm going to pin that together across both sides and then take it to my sewing machine and do 1 long stitch on either side to take that up. I tried it on to make sure that I had the right length I wanted, and it was just too short through the torso. So I had to do another stitch about 1 inch away from the original stitch that I did, but thankfully I didn't cut out any fabric. I don't ever cut fabric out until I'm completely sure that it's what I want. So I seam ripped my original stitch out so it would be that extra inch that I needed. Tried it on again and it was perfect, so now I can cut the fabric out, then do a zigzag stitch to finish off that edge, and the shoulders are done. So we can start getting those sleeves put back on. So I wanted to take a little bit of the length out of the shoulders so they wouldn't be so oversized. So I'm taking about an inch total off of it. And then I need to cut the sleeves down to match the new width, I guess, of the sleeve hole. So I'm just cutting off a couple of inches of that because they're tapered, so they already come in. I won't have to take them in. And now we can start pinning the sleeve to the inside of the jumpsuit. So you want it to be face to face, and I start pinning from the bottom seam so I know that it will reach all the way around and I won't have mismatched seams. So I'm pinning that part first and then pinning all the way around the inside of the sleeve, and then taking that to my sewing machine and doing one long stitch around it, trimming off the excess and doing a zigzag stitch to finish off that edge and make it basically act like a serged edge. After repeating that same process to attach the other sleeve, it is now time for the scary part, which is the collar. So I'm ironing down my shoulder seams just to make sure that they're as flat as possible, and then using my little traced paper guide that I made earlier to cut the new collar in the fixed jumpsuit. After making far more cuts than I probably ever have before, I can now reattach the collar. And so I'm folding it in half to find the true middle of it so that I can fit it directly to the center of this jumpsuit. And once I find that, since I seam ripped it, it's basically just a pocket. And so I'm gonna wrap the pocket around the outside of this fabric to basically cover in that edge and to make it really clean and finished. So I'm pinning starting in the center and basically just working the fabric until it fits inside this collar, because I've never done this before and I don't know what I'm doing. Once the collar is finally pinned down, I'm taking it to my machine and doing a top stitch around the whole edge that we seam ripped earlier. And with the collar reattached, this jumpsuit is completely done! Oh, I am just in love with how this turned out. It fits so much better now. It's not just like hanging on me. It looks like it was intentionally oversized, and the crotch actually hits where a crotch is supposed to. And so I just really love it. I love the volume that is still here just because we took it up in the shoulders, and the collar was the hardest part. I've never put a collar on a shirt before. So this was a feat on its own. It's not like insanely different from the original, but I'll just wear it more this way because I won't have to belt it. And this will just be like a throw on sneakers or sandals kind of outfit and go. So I will get a ton more wear out of this, which is the whole point of these thrift flips in the first place. So I'm loving this one also, and we're gonna move on to my favorite, so let's do it. Oh my gosh, I just love thrift flips. So we're gonna move on to our next piece, and it is this gorgeous, silky, beautiful gown that I'm so excited that I found. So it is this beautiful, creamy, iridescent, puff sleeve, maxi, major nightgown that I absolutely love. It feels like an Ebenezer Scrooge kind of nightie, which I kind of am obsessed with. And I've worn this a couple of times just belted or tied up, and then throw just some boots on with it, make it like a very simple nightie statement outfit. But I'm really hoping to use this fabric in a way that I will wear all the time. And so my thoughts for this piece are to kind of create this gorgeous, silky, shiny top. I am so in love with these. I think they just elevate any look. Like if you threw one on with jeans, it would be a night out kind of look, but the sheen on it is just beautiful. And I think this fabric is that perfect sheen for this look. It also is my size, and so it fits me through my shoulders and the sleeve, which I thought would be really easy to just like add some detail here, which then if I have enough fabric, then I can make a really beautiful midi right below the knee length skirt. So we're just gonna do exactly that and change this up into a really beautiful shirt slash set, hopefully. So let's do it. So to kick this set off, I'm trying it on and marking where I want the shirt to be. I'm marking it a little longer than it's actually going to be because I'm going to hem it, and I also want to make less work for myself if I do end up doing the skirt. So with that mark, I am cutting that edge, folding it in half to make sure my sides match up, and then I need to take the elastic out of the neckline so it'll lay completely flat so I can put in a new neckline and new elastic. I'm also going to iron that flat across the neckline so it's no longer scrunched, and once that is flat, I can start marking where I want the new neckline to be, since I'm going to make it a little more square, kind of U-neck look. With that marked, I'm going to now cut about an inch away from the marking so I have enough space to make a tube for my new elastic. So once I have that cut, I'm going to be folding over the edge to make the rolled hem for my elastic casing, and then rolling it again about a half an inch, making sure to measure my elastic that it will fit. and sewing that down, and then securing my elastic to one side of the shirt since I only want the elastic to be in the front. So once I have that one side secured, I'm going to attach a safety pin to the other end and shove it through the tube that we just created. And when it comes out the other side, I'm going to sew that edge down and then sew the shirt down to the elastic. Now I can start to do the gathers that are going to create the really cool architectural appearance of this shirt. And so I'm going to measure some elastic for right under the bust and pin to mark where the center point and the side points are going to be, so I can lay it flat and pin the elastic directly to the shirt. Instead of making a casing, I'm going to do gathering by just putting the elastic on the shirt. So this is a lot of pulling and tugging once it gets to the machine, so it's very important you pin out where it needs to go in the proper places. So I'm pinning the center bust, under bust, side, and back just to make sure it's going to sit where I want it to be. And then I take it to my machine and do a lot of stretching to get it to gather correctly. With the first gather complete, I'm measuring the second gather elastic, and that one's going to hit at my natural waist, so I'm measuring that, and then pinning across the shirt the same way that I did for the under bust gathering, just where I want that gather to be, and then measuring how far that pin is from the top gather, and then marking all the way around with pins how far that measurement was, so I can get an exact distance between the first elastic and the second elastic. So I'm pinning that piece of elastic 3 inches below the upper one in the front, sides, and back to ensure that the stretching on the machine works properly, and then I take it to my machine and stretch it once again to secure that second piece of elastic. I'm then hemming the shirt to the length that I want it with a double rolled hem, and luckily I have plenty of fabric to make a skirt, and so I'm just going to make a casing at the top of the skirt that already exists, so it's super easy, but we're gonna roll the top edge down about 1/2 inch and sew that down, but then we're going to take the sewn edge and fold it another inch because our elastic is 3/4 inches, so we're making the casing for the elastic here. And once we have that casing done with the spot left open so we can push the elastic through, we're going to pin the elastic to the inside to make sure it doesn't go all the way through, and then use our safety pin technique to just scrunch it through that waistband. And once it comes out the other side, we're going to sew it together, sew that down. This skirt is done, and it's done!
If you want some, just let me know.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how gorgeous this set turned out. It has still a nod to that nightgown feel, but it's just so ethereal and beautiful, and honestly, really surprised that I nailed this top because it was a little finicky, a little difficult, but we made it, we did it. I love the scoop, I love the way the elastic is placed, and then this is also a 2-piece set, and so if I wanted to, I think I could just tuck this ruffle underneath and have like a really cute little cropped kind of nighty set. I am just loving this piece. So romantic, so beautiful, so let's keep on moving to the next one. Oh my gosh, okay, this last piece I am so dang excited for. I'm just gonna show you. So it is this gorgeous floral set. Just look at it. I mean, really, it's to die for. So it is this top and skirt that have a very 80s kind of tennis mom sort of shape to it. But what I love about this is that it's that gorgeous terry cloth kind of fabric. So it's a very thick cotton, so comfy. I feel like PJs are often made out of this. Kind of like a leisure suit look with this elastic waist and these gold buttons down the skirt and the top of the shirt. And I absolutely died when this fit me in the thrift store. I could not believe it. So I've worn it once or twice like this, but it just doesn't make me feel as good as I want this fabric to make me feel because it's such gorgeous floral print. So my thoughts for this, I kind of have 2 thoughts for this. Part of me wants to make it into a dress, sort of a la this gorgeous photo, which is hilarious because I feel like I normally make things into 2 pieces here, but there's something about this that I just think is such a statement as a full piece of this gorgeous bold floral. So I'm thinking of doing this, making it really romantic, but then I'm also kind of thinking of this look. These have been super popular recently. This almost like terry cloth, thick cotton, sort of fitted jumpsuit. I think they're so adorable, but I would make mine a little bit bigger, and so that would really just mean changing this into shorts, this into a little bit more of a fitted kind of top. If I did that, I would probably keep it as a 2-piece. So I really don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but I'm gonna try it on and mess with it a little bit, see what inspires me from this piece, but I'm really excited to wear this a ton because I love it so much. So let's do it.
Just let me know.
After much deliberation on what to do, I still have no idea what I'm going to end up doing with this, but I know I want this top to be cropped, so I'm going to mark where I want it cropped, mark where I want the sleeve cropped, and then I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch below that so I can do a double rolled hem for the actual shirt hem and the sleeve hem too, so also cutting a 1/2 inch below on the sleeve, folding it over to make sure it's the same length, and taking it to my machine to do all this stitching. So the first stitch we're going to do is for the rolled hem, and so I'm going to roll it a 1/2 inch down and sew that down, and then fold it up another inch because I thought maybe at some point I might want to add elastic here, so I'm just leaving enough room for it. And I ended up deciding that I didn't want to do elastic on it, and so then I just used that as the hem, so I sewed that down all the way around about 1 inch up to finish the shirt hem, and then did the same process on the sleeves.
Okay, so I'm done with the first top, and I was going back through this skirt, and every time I tried it on, I just could not bring myself to cut it up. I just think it's so gorgeous, and I want to wear it all the time, and so I'm going to leave this until I don't want to wear it as a midi skirt anymore, and then maybe I'll change it into shorts or something. But to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to take the extra piece that I cut off the bottom of the shirt and make like a little tank top sort of thing. We'll see if we have enough fabric, but hopefully it'll work, so let's keep on moving through this thrift flip.
So to make this little tank top, I don't have pieces long enough to make straps, so I'm going to make a halter with the pieces that I cut off the end of the sleeve. And so I'm cutting that down the center, repeating on the other sleeve, and then cutting both down to be the exact same size because that's going to be the halter piece around the back of my neck. And then doing a rolled hem on the right side since the left side was the finished edge of the t-shirt. So I'm rolling a 1/2 inch down and sewing that down, and then rolling another 1/2 inch down and sewing that down so it's just a full strap. I'm going to use the bottom of the shirt upside down so it has that cute white band that used to be around the bottom of the shirt around the top of this cute little tube top almost. So I'm pinning the sides to take it in about 4 inches, laying it out and measuring it so I'm sure I have an accurate seam, and then cutting off the excess fabric, flipping it inside out and pinning it, and taking it to my machine with 1 straight stitch down that side, and then finishing out the edge with a zigzag stitch so it's nice and finished. I decided to do a piece of elastic across the bottom of this because I wanted it to be a very cute little kind of puffy top, and so I'm taking that piece of elastic and measuring it at my waist, creating that rolled casing that we always do for our elastic here at Well Loved, and then using the safety pin, again a Well Loved technique, to push that elastic through. And once it comes through, I'm sewing the elastic to each other and then sewing the little gap we left open closed, and that is the tube top portion. So now we're going to attach the straps, which I am placing just on me right now to mark where those straps need to be. Since this is halter, it's just going to be the 2 pieces in the front, so I'm marking that with a pin and measuring out the distance to make sure that they're the same distance from the side and the center. And once I have those placed, I'm taking them to the machine, doing 1 top stitch, cutting off any excess, and this little 3-piece separate set is done!
I am speechless. This is so cute. Such an adorable nod to a little 50s vintage halter set, and I am in love. I am so glad that I did not touch the skirt or make it shorts or anything because this is just an immaculate skirt. I mean, the buttons are incredible, and this pattern I will never get enough. And so this was actually the extra fabric from where I cropped the little t-shirt that I showed you first. So I love this also. This will be super cute going into fall, maybe like with a big sweater over the top. Even just this in sneakers would be super cute, but I'm loving this halter for summer right now. I'll even throw this on with jeans and it's just good to go. Such a cute little 3-piece set, and then I'll get a ton more wear out of it through all seasons. So I think I'm gonna stay in this for the rest of the day because it's just too dang cute. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for thrift flipping with me and making some really just adorable pieces. Let me know which is your favorite in the comments below and subscribe to my channel. You are well loved. Bye.